Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Kama Sutra by Vatsyayana. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain and is read by Mark Smith of Simpsonville, South Carolina. The Kama Sutra by Vatsyayana. Part 2 of Sexual Union. Chapter 1. Kinds of Sexual Union according to Dimensions, Force of Desire or Passion, Time. Man is divided into three classes, that is, the hare man, the bull man, and the horse man, according to the size of his lingam. Woman also, according to the depth of her yoni, is either a female deer, a mare, or a female elephant. There are thus three equal unions between persons of corresponding dimensions, and there are 6 unequal unions when the dimensions do not correspond, or 9 in all, as the following table shows. Equal dimensions are hare man and deer woman, bull man and mare woman, horse man and elephant woman. Unequal pairings are hare man and mare woman, hare man and elephant woman, bull man and deer woman, bull man and elephant woman, horse man and deer woman, horseman and mare woman. In these unequal unions, when the male exceeds the female in point of size, his union with a woman who is immediately next to him in size is called high union, and is of 2 kinds, while his union with the woman most remote from him in size is called the highest union, and is of 1 kind only. On the other hand, when the female exceeds the male in point of size, her union with a man immediately next to her in size is called low union, and is of 2 kinds, while her union with a man most remote from her in size is called the lowest union, and is of 1 kind only. In other words, the horse and mare, the bull and deer, form the high union, while the horse and deer form the highest union. On the female side, the elephant and bull, the mare and hare, form low unions, while the elephant and the hare make the lowest unions. There are, then, 9 kinds of union according to dimensions. Amongst all these, equal unions are the best, those of a superlative degree, that is, the highest and the lowest, are the worst, and the rest are middling, and with them the high are better than the low. Footnote: High unions are said to be better than low ones, for in the former it is possible for the male to satisfy his own passion without injuring the female, while in the latter it is difficult for the female to be satisfied by any means. End footnote. There are also 9 kinds of union according to the force of passion or carnal desire, as follows. Equal unions are small for both men and women, middling for men and women, and intense for men and women. Unequal pairings are small for men and middling for women, small for men and intense for women, middling for men and small for women, middling for men and intense for women, intense for men and small for women, intense for men and middling for women. A man is called a man of small passion whose desire at the time of sexual union is not great, whose semen is scanty, and who cannot bear the warm embraces of the female. Those who differ from this temperament are called men of middling passion, while those of intense passion are full of desire. In the same way, women are supposed to have the 3 degrees of feeling as specified above. Lastly, according to time there are 3 kinds of men and women, that is, the short-timed, the moderate-timed, and the long-timed, and of these, as in the previous statements, there are 9 kinds of union. But on this last head there is a difference of opinion about the female, which should be stated. Audalika says, "Females do not emit as males do. The males simply remove their desire, while the females, from their consciousness of desire, feel a certain kind of pleasure, which gives them satisfaction, but it is impossible for them to tell you what kind of pleasure they feel. The fact from which this becomes evident is, that males, when engaged in coition, cease of themselves after emission, and are satisfied, but it is not so with females. This opinion is, however, objected to on the grounds that if a male be a long timed, the female loves him the more, but if he be short timed, she is dissatisfied with him. And this circumstance, some say, would prove that the female emits also. But this opinion does not hold good, for if it takes a long time to allay a woman's desire, and during this time she is enjoying great pleasure, it is quite natural then that she should wish for its continuation, and on this subject there is a verse as follows: "By union with men the lust, desire, or passion of women is satisfied, and the pleasure derived from the consciousness of it is called their satisfaction." The followers of Bhabravya, however, say that the semen of women continues to fall from the beginning of the sexual union to its end, and it is right that it should be so, for if they had no semen there would be no embryo. To this there is an objection. In the beginning of coition the passion of the woman is middling, and she cannot bear the vigorous thrusts of her lover, but by degrees her passion increases until she ceases to think about her body, and then finally she wishes to stop from further coition. This objection, however, does not hold good, for even in ordinary things that revolve with great force, such as a potter's wheel, or a top, we find that the motion at first is slow, but by degrees it becomes very rapid. In the same way, the passion of the woman having gradually increased, she has a desire to discontinue coition, when all the semen has fallen away. And there is a verse with regard to this as follows: "The fall of the semen of the man takes place only at the end of coition, while the semen of the woman falls continually, and after the semen of both has all fallen away, then they wish for the discontinuance of coition." Footnote: The strength of passion with women varies a great deal, some being easily satisfied, and others eager and willing to go on for a long time. To satisfy these last thoroughly, a man must have recourse to art. It is certain that a fluid flows from the woman in larger or smaller quantities, but her satisfaction is not complete until she has experienced the spasme génésique, as described in French work recently published and called Breviaire de l'amour expérimental par le Dr. Jules Guyot. Lastly, Vatsyayana is of opinion that the semen of the female falls in the same way as that of the male. Now some may ask here, if men and women are beings of the same kind, and are engaged in bringing about the same result, why should they have different works to do? Vatsya says that this is so, because the ways of working, as well as the consciousness of pleasure in men and women, are different. The difference in the ways of working, by which men are the actors, and women are the persons acted upon, is owing to the nature of the male and the female. Otherwise the actor would be sometimes the person acted upon, and vice versa. And from this difference in the ways of working follows the difference in the consciousness of pleasure, for a man thinks, "This woman is united with me," and a woman thinks, "I am united with this man." It may be said that if the ways of working in men and women are different, why should not there be a difference, even in the pleasure they feel, and which is the result of those ways? But this objection is groundless, for the person acting and the person acted upon being of different kinds, there is a reason for the difference in their ways of working. But there is no reason for any difference in the pleasure they feel, because they both naturally derive pleasure from the act they perform. Footnote: This is a long dissertation very common among Sanskrit authors, both when writing and talking socially. They start certain propositions and then argue for and against them. What it is presumed the author means is, that although both men and women derive pleasure from the act of coition, the way it is produced is brought about by different means, each individual performing his own work in the matter, irrespective of the other, and each deriving individually their own consciousness of pleasure from the act they perform. There is a difference in the work that each does, and a difference in the consciousness of pleasure that each has, but no difference in the pleasure they feel, for each feels that pleasure to a greater or lesser degree.